I don't know about you, but when I first started to learn to paint, when I was just a young kid, I painted on basically anything that I could get my hands on. I used to paint on my mom's furniture too. Well, that's a whole other story. But I learned that a painting is a painting, no matter where it is. Now, as we get older, of course, we want to be a little more professional about it, I guess you could say. Well, in this case, you can tell that I'm painting on an old piece of cardboard. And just to make it a little more durable, in fact, a lot more durable, I just gesso both sides of it. That way it seals it, and you can frame it. But really, just for the purposes of demonstrating a painting and showing that you can paint a nice painting on anything if you really want to. Well, that's where we are today. And the idea here is to render a painting in a very quick and general format. You can see that I've got a big fat brush. It's a filbert. It's around 12, number 12, I guess. And it's almost like a child's brush. It's so rugged and ragged, it's been beat to heck, and it's the bristles are spread out and broken, and some of them are even dried out. But for a painting like this, you know, rugged, dried out, shoreline, the edge of a forest, well, that's kind of what we're dealing with, right? Old dry brush, old dry woods, right next to a beautiful lake. Oh, I'm giving too much away. We're going to get to that. I'm using primarily Van Dyke Brown mixed with Azo Orange, a little bit of Viridian Green. I tint it with titanium white for those lighter areas. And I just kind of scrub it into the surface. Now, what I'm going to do here is just simply put a horizon line. That's where the sky meets the water, and it's just going to be, well, once again, I don't want to give too much away. I'll let you hang in there and just watch. Now, I've really pumped up the titanium white and Azo orange and added a little bit of Azo yellow. Same brush. Look at that. Not even thoroughly cleaned out from what I did in the shoreline in front of us. And the reason why is because I really want that earthy, kind of rugged tone to show up in the water as well. And I can always highlight and I can always paint over. So I really don't care too much what's going down in this initial stage. I really just want to get the basic painting in place and basic colors in place. And towards the end of this video, you'll see how I start to, well, define those colors a little more. But these are what I call the earthy, warm tones that I love. I'm from Ontario, Canada, and boy, we've got lots of these kinds of lakes, literally thousands of them. And summer times, autumn, you go up there to paint. Don't forget your marshmallows, because you might want to start a little fire and toast them by the lakeside as the sun goes down. Oh, I get carried away. Sorry, but here we are. Back to the painting. I'm going to drop a little more. I'm going to drop some alizarin crimson into that Azo orange, and that same old brush. So some of that muddy color from down below is still coming through, and I like that because once again, there's that earthy tone. Now, I don't know where you come from, but where I come from, the forest is particularly brownish, dark, rusty colors towards the late end of the season before the snow falls. And that's what we're painting here. And along the bottom of that far shore, I just kind of anchor it with a slightly darker version than the rest of it. That just gives it a solid footing against the water, and it also makes the water glow a little bit more. Maybe you can see that. I'll drop some azo yellow and titanium white highlights into the far shore. I don't want to get carried away with details. That's for another painter, perhaps for another style or another day. For me, I just like the very vague, very loose, very general application, and I like to let your imagination fill in all of the blanks. I know for sure some of the purists out there are going to look at this and say, "Oh my God, it's just plopping paint on the surface." But for those of us that love this earthy stuff, and believe me, there's lots of you out there, this speaks to our love for the land. Now, I've just dropped in a whole lot more titanium white and azo yellow into the same brush. That's it, same brush. And I'm starting to kind of block in my sky. And it's going to get a whole lot of paint on that surface. Look at that. Beautiful azo orange, azo yellow, titanium white. Wow. Just love those combinations. And then just kind of generally brush along the edges to keep it from getting too sharp. I don't want it to be too sharp. Again, I like those soft edges. I like those ragged edges. Once again, it's looking at the land that I love and the place where I live, and thinking of those beautiful nights when the sun is setting and the sky turns a rusty pink with some orange and yellow highlights in it. That's alizarin crimson in the paint up there, by the way, just a little bit of it with some titanium white that gives us that kind of a pinkish, but not too bright, kind of a tone. And I'm just using that same old brush to just kind of gently blend. Little titanium white there to highlight. We don't want the sky to be all one color or all one tone or value. We like some light and dark to get a little bit of drama going on. But as that sun recedes, the clouds start to become more and more defined. And my brush, well, it's just having a great old time. That rusty, rugged, fragmented old brush, it probably should be thrown out, but wow, how much fun it can be when you use it for a painting like this. I'll just tap in some kind of cloud highlights here, a little bit of softening so that the clouds don't kind of look too stark against the background. Just blend them in a little bit. Blend that kind of sunlight right into the lower end of the clouds so you get that glow against the lower side of the clouds. That's just when the fun starts to happen. I'm getting ready to break out my marshmallows now because the fire's burning, and I want to roast some marshmallows and have maybe a little cup of hot chocolate before I climb into my tent for the night. I'll take a little tiny number 3 detail brush. And I'll just extend those trees up a little bit higher and get some points on them. That way, they're not just a subtle imagination. They're a little bit more suggestive, but once again, a little on the ragged side. We just love ragged because we're talking about the forest and the way things grow. Just kind of all over the place, everything to each his own. Kind of like the way this artist paints, just to each his own. No rules. No big formal rules. No. But just get the vibe. Just feel those pines and the deadwoods just kind of extending up into that sunlit lake. Wow. Those marshmallows are going to taste great. Now, I put my signature on the bottom. Don't forget to do that. That's very, very important. You want people to know who did it. And so they can maybe find you on social media and follow you and find out what else you're up to. Or maybe they can drop in on your website. Mine is Robert McAfee. That's MCAFFEE.com. I'll thank you for joining me. I appreciate you being here. And by all means, like and follow. That way, the big YouTube gods, they have a way of knowing that you're watching and following me, and they'll let you know when I do something new in the future. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time right here on The Robert Painter on YouTube.